welcome to The First Time. Welcome to a brand new series we're starting here, uncovering the moments that shape the artists we're most excited about. Today we're here at New Century Hall with Gurriers ahead of them playing here on October 16th, just weeks before the release of their second album, Nobody's Coming to Save Ya. So, my first question is for you guys, is obviously you're currently at a weird stage now where your album's finished, but it doesn't belong to the fans just yet, it just belongs to you guys. How does it feel to be in that sort of stage of limbo at the minute?
It is quite strange, because we've been talking about this in the last couple of weeks about, we've played a lot of stuff off the new album already, but about when do we bring in the rest of it, or do we keep it for closer to the release and stuff, because we've got a busy end of the summer here now, lots of festivals and stuff, so there's lots of opportunities to play stuff live for the first time, so we've kind of been having that conversation. But I think what is there left, three? Yeah, I think they're possibly going to be the three biggest live moments from the record. I don't know if you can say that, impartially or whatever, but I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's one of those things you're talking about as well. For me, the songs aren't ours anymore after we've recorded it, and it's where we walk out of the studio. That moment where you're the only people in the world who know what they sound like, how they sound, how they're done. The second you're finished, it's not yours anymore. And I like that question. The way I look at it, it's like you're on the pathway now. It's someone else's. But yeah, I think it's really exciting to be able to bring out new music and show people what we can do and how we can evolve and how we can prove to people that we're one of the best live bands around, and hopefully that is how people feel.
Definitely. Oh, thank you. We got a little system going. And what's your relationship like now with the album, now that it's finished, compared to when you first sort of started recording it?
Kind of I don't think I've listened to it in a long time. I think whenever we got final masters back and we got test pressings and stuff, I listened to it, but I remember leaving the studio on the last day and feeling really just, I don't know, proud, being proud is the correct kind of way to describe it, but just kind of totally assured that what we've just done is going to be incredible, and is going to resonate with people, and I suppose I haven't really thought about that kind of coming to fruition over the next couple of weeks. Yeah,
I listen to it a good bit, especially for learning the songs, I guess, in certain ways, especially the past while. But yeah, I enjoy listening to it, and I think that's part of it as well. You want to make music that you enjoy and that you would like to hear, and I find myself keep going back to that album myself. I mean, this is actually something I think if I was gonna go back in time in a, I guess, time machine to 15-year-old me and be would I listen to that? I think I would. I'd be this is cool. These have loads of Spotify listens.
Yeah.
No, I love that. It's good that you listen to your own stuff as well, because it must be mad when you're listening to it back and you're yeah, this is a tune, and then you're oh, that's me.
Yeah. I used to listen to our stuff in the very early days, walking about, or when I went running and stuff. Yeah. And I used to kind of cringe at myself, being if anyone knew what I was listening to, but not really anymore. Oh, I think I have us blocked on my Spotify to not show up on my algorithm, right?
Yeah, I don't listen on Spotify.
I think
on a safe file.
I think my biggest fear is you know, you get like your Spotify Wrapped or that sort of stuff, and like your own band is in it. It's like the cringiest thing ever. Like,
That's got to do when you first start out. You know, you need to like listen to your own song. Well, not listen to it, just leave it on over and over and over.
Leave it on overnight.
Leave it on overnight. Find a friend who works in like an office and has like 20 computers all connected into it. Do that. There you go. There's some tips for you.
We're always helping out smaller bands.
No, I love it. I mean, I'll never admit to it, but when I first started the podcast, I used to have it on in the background, like on no volume. But I'd be like, look how many monthly listenings I've got.
Yeah, we all do it.
Trey Band did that, didn't they? Was it Alt J? They did like an album with no music on it at all, so you could just have it play in the background and it would accumulate loads of streams because there's nothing there. There's no sound of it, so they're just trying to say how stupid Spotify is, basically, and why streams actually mean nothing.
That's mad.
Yeah, there you go.
And my next question for you guys is there a song on the album that you're either really excited about performing live or really nervous about performing live?
I'm really excited. I think the three we haven't played, I'm probably equally as excited and nervous about playing all three of them, because they're quite different in terms of, like, all of them sit in, I wouldn't say the three of them are similar songs, but I think all of them sit in a different place from where we've gone before, and they all kind of do their own unique thing. Like, I'm really excited to play Pins, because I think that's a song people will latch on to, like, massively. I think that's a hit. Like, I think Drones is so, like, unconventional, and I just think when that lifts in the end of it, I think it's going to be sick. And then what I Wish I Was, it's just a totally different thing that we've never really done before. It's probably the three that we haven't done yet. I don't know, maybe that's the obvious thing because we've played the rest of them, but I don't know.
Yeah, I'd say the same. I think it's always a thing you're excited to finally see what it will like sound like and how people resonate with it live compared to just being in the room, because it's a completely different monster and feeling and everything. But I don't think I'm nervous. I'm never really nervous about what we can do, because the talent is there and the drive is there. It's just, how people react to it is the only thing that is important in that sense when you release it or when you play it, bring it on.
So what was the first moment you sort of felt like Gurriers was a real band, like a proper band?
I had to think there. How we were a real band, I genuinely thought it was very early in the days when Mark wrote Top of the Bill. It didn't feel like it was, I've been in a lot of bands for a lot of years, and it didn't feel like it was more like a hobby. It felt like something that you could see a path in, and something that you could be like, oh wow, this is really impressive and really a lot of potential, basically. But if I was to say from any gigs, I'd say just like selling out, like Button Factory last year, 2 shows in Dublin, and on our kind of small Irish tour. That felt really important. That felt like a really milestone moment, and in a way that people were like, oh, these guys are actually good.
I think that kind of period you're talking about there, when we first wrote Top of the Bill, I definitely do have like a weird memory of around that time where it all started to take shape in a way that it hadn't really before. Like this was what? When was that? Like early 2021.
21.
Yeah. So it's just you're still in like pandemic, and stuff. It was just a strange time, and I remember like that was the only, like, none of us were working or anything. That was like the band was the only thing we focused on, really. So that kind of became the main focus of your life, and I don't think that's ever really changed since. Like, so it probably is around that time that I was like, we can have a proper go with this. And then when you're having conversations with other people around that time, like there was I hate the name drop, so like I became mates with Curly from Fontaine's. He was like staying in my house at the time, and I remember like like stupidly now that I think about it, like playing like shitty phone recordings that we were like recording in practice and playing it to him. And I remember him saying that he liked Top of the Bill. He was like, that's really good. And see, I don't remember what he said about any of the rest of it, but I remember he said that was good. So I remember, yeah. So I remember them being like, all right, well, if he thinks it's cool, this could be a runner. Like, and then I think like the first time we went out and played in Europe and stuff like that, that was a big, like, proper moment. Like even like the first time we went into the UK and did shows, like that's really cool. But I remember the first time we went out and played, and like Reaper Band, and like our first festival was mad cool in Madrid. Doing that, and like we didn't even have enough money to like stay overnight in Madrid. Like we flew in, like just like sat at the free bar all day. We were like there was a swimming pool backstage. We were like the only people in it. You know, like proper going for it. Like slept in the airport overnight, flew home at like 6 o'clock the next morning. You know, it sounds so like tin pot, but it was like we were doing it. We were giving it a go. Do you know what I mean? And that those kind of moments for me stick with me as like the times when we really backed ourselves to push the thing on.
I just remember Mark was living like Lord Muck in Spain for 3 days before us as well, actually.
We landed out. We were all excited. Mark was like dishevelled. Yeah. But those memories are amazing, like whenever you look back.
And you've got to make the most of the freebies as well, like
100%.
You're entitled.
Yeah.
And I want to talk about the fact that you guys formed like right on the cusp of the pandemic as well, which is like either the worst or the best timing. I'm not sure for you guys, but when the world is like filled with such like isolation and uncertainty, for me, when I listen to your music, it's filled with like quite a lot of urgency. That's the kind of vibe I get. Do you think that's in like the pandemic and that sort of time it still impacts your music today?
That's a good question. I think the habits that you form in terms of songwriting at the very start of the process, it's very difficult to go away from that entirely, and you can try and bring new things to the approach and to change things up, but I think ultimately like how you learn to write as a group, fundamentally that it does evolve over time, but the core principles of it stay close to what they are when you first kind of learn how to write together. So I'd say there probably is still a connection to how we approach things. Yeah. Then
I think for me, lyrically, I think obviously not just the pandemic was happening. There was, you know, the Black Lives Matter protests, George Floyd, and so much like chaos happening all over the world due to people chronically online, and like just seeing that it just feels like everything's just ramped up since, and in a way for musicians it's very not like selfish kind of content that we have so much to write about, and it's unfortunate, it's concerning, but it does create good poetry. And I guess at the end of the day as well, it's like you write poetry to try and find the reason or meaning for what's happening, to try and find your own understanding of why you're feeling this way, you know.
And obviously, like, I've seen you guys loads, and your live shows are like so chaotic, but like in the best way possible, because we love a good bit of chaos. What was the first live show where you thought like the audience like really shocked you?
That's another very good question. Jeez, I don't know.
The second, I can't remember the Bruce Festival, BRUIS in Maastricht.
Yeah, Jesus.
We only played a festival the day before in one called Into the Great Wide Open,
on an island,
which was really cool. And we got in the Netherlands, you get treated very, very well. They treat all artists kind of equally, which is amazing. And Boost Festival, it was crazy. We even did an encore because we didn't have any more songs, and we did I Wanna Be Your Dog by the Stooges, and it was mental. People were going crazy, and we don't even know if we played the right song, like chords or anything, but we just played it. And yeah,
very punk. It was very old school.
It was very punk. It was very old school, and it was very infectious, and it made us being like, oh yeah, I'll have more of this, please. And then we went to Electric Picnic the next day, and instead of getting a full spread of food and drink, we got 6 cans and told to fuck off.
That's how it works.
Sound.
I think I totally forgot about that. That was mental. Like, I remember. This kind of sounds stupid. Like the first couple of times when we were on stage, is big enough for me to have a drum riser, that I'm able to get a better view of the crowd. And I was like, oh yeah, this is kind of crazy. You know, looking down at this, like, maybe it was always crazy and I just didn't see it.
Paris was crazy. First time. From there.
Don't remember. Jeez, my memory's brutal.
It's a lot of it's all the album.
Yeah. I need to stop.
And we're going to move on now to the new album because we're all very excited about it. When did the possibility of releasing a second album first start to feel real for you guys? And what did you learn from the first album that you've been able to take into this new one?
I think the day we stopped recording, or the day we finished the first album, or was it the day it came out? The day we finished recording the first album, our manager was like, right, now you have to write a second one. That was just it. Like,
there was no like congratulations. There was just like, okay, album 2 now.
Yeah, keep the thing pushing forward. Like, I think when the whole thing came into, for the first record, like it wasn't. We didn't ever. Obviously, bands release albums. That's the thing. That is what happens. Like, right. But when we came to the conclusion that it was a good idea to release the first record, it was just because there was a collection of songs there. It wasn't as if we set out to ever write an album. It was just suddenly we had 12 or 13 songs and we could, you know, whittle them down and put a few on a record. Like, whereas with the second record, with the new album, it was very much a considered approach about writing like a body of work, like an entire thing that has like a couple of through lines that tie it all together and stuff. And I think it was like well before we had even released the first record, we were writing songs that are on this record and working on it. And I think the key thing for us with the new record was about like making it, you know, being more ambitious with it, with the entire approach. Like that's sonically, that's how you write songs, that's where you do it, who you do it with. It was just all about trying to go bigger and better than we did on the first record.
Yeah, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head there. I think when we knew we were ready for the second album was funny enough when we were going like in pre-production with Bowen from Idols. Like we were with him and Loren in our practice room in Dublin, just kind of going through the songs, going through tones, and like for like a week. It was crazy. But we wrote a song on the album that, like, we finished a song for the album that week of pre-production.
It was probably only like 20-30% written.
Yeah.
And we were going into the studio the next week, like.
And it was great, and it came out really well. Yeah. I ain't saying which one it is. And yeah, we're really, really happy with it. And like the thing was then that we were like, okay, we can go in now and there's not that much pressure or nervousness because these two guys are going to guide us and it's going to work out. That's how it felt for me anyway.
Yeah, I think like I love the first record, and that isn't even a sentence that has the but, you know, in the middle of it. I love the first record. I think it really stands up. I just think we approached the second in an entirely different way. Like it's probably not. You learn so much when you do it for the first time, and from even chatting with other people and stuff like that, you learn so much. Like, so the approach the second time is entirely different. So it's probably not fair to compare them because it's chalk and cheese really in terms of how we went about doing it. Like when we did the first one, it was in drips and drabs. You know, we were going over to record singles, and you know, we'd be in Leeds for like a week recording, and then we'd be back in 3 months and record 2 songs and stuff. Whereas like this idea, like we did this across 2 studios. Like we did 10 days in a place called Attica in Donegal in Ireland, and then did like a week in Holy Mountain in Hackney, which was incredible. So even that, you know, you're testing yourself, and working with Bowen and Loren, like you bring them in as additional members of the band, and you put a lot of trust in them, essentially, like to help you elevate the thing. You know, talking about that, ambitiousness at the start, like you have to put a lot of trust in them, and once we get the assurance there that there's a really deep understanding on their behalf of what this is and what it needs to be and where it needs to get to, like then it's very easy to kind of bring them in and work with them, like and that's how I think that was the key aspect of the entire process, like how much they really got it, what it was that we were trying to do.
And I mean, Come and See did so well. Well, it went multi-platinum in my bedroom. How did you feel going from that, like the success of that, into this album? Did you feel like more pressure with it, or were you more confident with it?
I think it's funny because Come and See had such a big second wind. I think like 6 months after we released it, like when we released it at the time, did really well. But then like 6 months later, it started to level off essentially, got another massive push, and then you're like, oh, the bar in terms of where that went to, and the amount of people that reached and the amount of people that connected with it is suddenly way higher than what we probably thought it would be.
Yeah. I think it's for the pressure of like making the second album. It's one of those things when you're making your first album, you kind of have all the time in the world, in a way, because you've been at it for so long. And then when you're coming to the second album, it's like, oh, we got to make it, and it needs to be out in so and so time, and it needs to be better. And then you start to kind of subconsciously try and make parallels. What I do for like, I can't talk about this or I can't talk about that again, but it's
I do the same with like drum beats.
Yeah,
I can't do the same thing again, like.
You can't, yeah, but and that's good. You limit yourself and you learn from that, and then you have to find another way of doing it, and then you push yourself to doing that, and that's always great. So when the next album is being made, there's going to be more limits, so that's just how we do things.
You touched on it then as well, like you recorded between Donegal and London. How did the change in location affect the album? Did it affect the album?
Yeah, I think they're both amazing studios, but both like very different from each other. Like when we were in Donegal, we were staying pretty much like in the studio. As this small little building that was there. We were getting food dropped into us. It was the guy that runs the studio, Tommy, like his house is the studio's built into the side of his house essentially. Like it's about 20 minutes outside Letterkenny, so you're not in the middle of, I don't want to say you're in the middle of nowhere, but it is quite rural. Like there's this like double high ceiling in the studio with like floor to ceiling windows. You're looking out at like Mount Errigal. It's you get that kind of feeling of isolation when you're there, and the live room is amazing. And we did a lot of the track in there, like a lot of the drums you hear in the record were done in Donegal, and then we got it in such a good place that going to London, then a place where Bowen knew it inside out. Idols have done what, 2 records there, if not 3.
I've done bits in there.
Yeah, done loads in there. So knows the gear, knows the room, knows how to get it sounding the way he wants it to. So essentially it was like Donegal was all the nice pretty stuff, and elevating the sound, and then the Holy Mountain is about adding the grit on top. But then when we were staying in London, I was staying with my girlfriend, and the lads were staying in an Airbnb, and it was a totally different experience than having Colette drop us in soup and sandwiches at 1 o'clock every day, and homemade lasagnas and homemade cheesecakes and stuff every evening. It was unbelievable, the treatment we got. And then when you're in London, you're making the grittier side of the album, and you're just kind of thrown into the shit again, and you're giving out about how expensive everything is. Yeah,
that's what I was gonna say. It was like time felt kind of almost infinite making the album in Donegal, because you could do it. We could get there from 10 a.m. to 12, and you could be very busy and very proactive, but you could allow yourself to kind of relax into it and take time.
Go down the little rabbit holes, and
which is good, which is able to build basically the bones of the album. and then to go into London and it's so much more chaotic and erratic, and you're only there until 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock because that's how late the studio's open till. There's this other like kind of panic that sets in that is positive, that gets the album done, because we only had 2 weeks. You know, it's not enough time to make an album, but we did it, you know. And I do think with the more kind of erratic and like intense atmosphere we were around, we got it done because of that, I would say.
Yeah, and I think that probably helps, or helped with what the intention of the moving between studios was, in terms of like, you want that we did a lot of the guitars. I'm nearly sure all your vocals were done on Holy Mountain Mother, or
Yeah, probably.
yeah, you know, like it's hard to say. It's hard to remember. You know, you go through so much, like it's a stressful kind of time. Like, you know, you go through so much stress, you kind of forget half of it. Like, you know, but I think that was the intention. That kind of manic, you know, and urgency, what you said earlier, that comes across on the record, you know, similarly to how it does on the first. I think that's what we wanted to get out of the changing location midway through recording. It's a mad thing that anytime I say it to other people in bands, like, you moved in the middle of it, like, yeah, it's cool. I would do it again. I would recommend it.
And obviously this new album is going to scale up the intensity from the first album. How did you make it bigger, but without making it louder, if that makes sense?
It's a good question. I'm going to give it to you.
We wanted to make it more expansive, and we wanted to make it more, I guess, like what? Yeah, I guess just like we're playing bigger rooms. You know, we're gonna. That's the thing. Like when we went on tour with Inhaler, I think that kind of changed our idea of what we wanted the album to sound like, because the rooms are bigger, and the songs that we have, they're written and suited for a small 150, 200 cap room, a sweaty box, and it does work also in bigger rooms or whatever. But it's important to know what you want to write, how you want to write songs. You want the songs to feel more vast and more mature, I guess. And to do that, it just takes a lot of production wizardry from a few people. And the lads are amazing musicians, and they know what they want when it comes to like expansive sounds, atmosphere and textures and stuff like that. And I think everyone putting their thoughts and work together made a great record.
I think part of it was we've been so busy gigging like the last couple of years, like literally like been non-stop, and so we're having to write in the middle of touring all the time. And I remember like having a conversation with Mark about the approach to writing guitar music that sits better in bigger rooms, and not that the entire writing process is informed by how it translates live. Like, you know, we obviously have a good reputation as a live band, but we also want to, you know, grow the reputation of the records, essentially. Do you know what I mean? A good band on recording as well. Like, and I think I'm trying to think what show it was. It might have been on the Inhaler tour, or maybe the first time we opened for Kneecap, I think, in the SSE in Belfast. Like, and Mark was talking about like the idea of when you play a riff like at the start of Approachable in a small club venue of 250, 300 people, the guitar hits the back wall and comes back at you, and it, you know, it adds to that intensity, you know, that how loud it can be and all of that sort of stuff. Whereas when you play in an arena, like, it just goes and it doesn't come back at you, you know. So suddenly you're like, how do you write something that like resonates with someone at the back of the room? And I just thought that was an interesting, you know, when he said it to me at the time, you know, it seems an obvious thing to say, but whenever he said it, it was like, oh yeah, I hadn't really considered that, you know, writing music that sits in the bigger rooms that we're going to be playing now. Obviously we're not at arena level yet, but like, we're, you know, playing, you know,
We support people.
yeah, and when you're doing like bigger stages of festivals and stuff, festivals are kind of an exercise in winning a lot of people on the fringes over as well at times. Like, so there's definitely a bit of that to be considered in how you make it bigger, and like making it more accessible was definitely something we had considered and talked about as well. Like, but not totally abandoning your roots of, you know, being an alternative rock band, you know, and not going full pop just yet.
So obviously you guys have just touched on then, you've supported the likes of like Inhaler, Kneecap in such iconic venues, but how does it feel, because we are at New Century Hall and you're performing here on the 16th of October, how does it feel preparing for your own headline tour?
Yeah, it's, I don't know, the supports are exciting in a way, like kind of what I said there about like the festival stuff, you know, you're trying to win a lot of people over, and you're aware when you're supporting bands in bigger venues that there's a lot of people here that this is going to be their first impression of you, like whereas with the headline stuff, you know the people are going to know all the lyrics, it's going to be crazy, it's you create the evening, you know what I mean, from the support bands to, you know, the playlist that plays in between, you know, doors and the support, and between the support and us and post gig and stuff like that, like, and you're just trying to give your loyal fans that have, you know, bought tickets to come out to your shows the best evening possible. Yeah, I can't wait, like, to be playing in venues of this size now is incredible, really, like.
You said everything I was going to say, genuinely. Yeah, pretty much.
Cool.
And obviously, like, you have literally just pretty much led me on great to my next question. You're playing the new album, and how are you planning to capture the scale of this new album but still keep the chaos and the closeness of those early shows and the reason people love you coming to see you live?
We were literally having this conversation this morning about like set lists for the tour, and talking about like what off the new album is going to be like 100% played every night, and what off Come and See is going and Erasure as well, you know, standalone single, like. But I think Mark is very like
Tactical.
Yeah, that's a word. That is one of the words that we could use to describe him. He's very like, this song should go here, this song should go there. He studies, like, I'm sorry, when I say that, he doesn't go and read through Setlist FM and talk about, you know, the flow of setlists that other bands do, but like he'll look at tours that other bands do on another point, in terms of like, when they were here they did this venue, and then a year later they were doing there, and backwards fit the whole thing, and he'll talk to us about, I think we should be doing this, I think we should be doing that. He'll do the same with set lists and talk about, he was at a gig and this happened and the flow of this and whatever, and he's very like, I think he's a good understanding of like the push and pull that's needed in the set. So as much as like it's bigger rooms, and obviously the point of a new record is you're reaching new people for the first time, like, you still want to, you can't totally abandon everything that you've worked towards creating in terms of a reputation as an amazing live band, like.
Again, like, yeah, I think it's the bigger rooms that are really, you know, one of the things that as a band you always want to strive to. You want to, as Pierce said, put on a really good show, and yeah, it's exciting when it's your own tour, because at the end of the day your album's out and you get to play it in front of people, and people have hopefully, you know, taken a bit of time to listen to it and get it. And I think it's one of those things where it's, when it's a festival or support gig, you know, there's not much of not many issues you could have, really. You can get away with a lot more.
I took a seizure during one of our gigs. Remember that? You're supporting Kneecap.
Well, yeah.
That's an issue.
That's an issue.
That could happen, yeah.
Didn't mean those issues. But yeah, that kind of stuff, yeah. I think there's less to worry about. That's Kneecap's problem.
My last question for you guys, as this is our new series called The First Time, you're about to experience releasing your second album for the first time. When you look back in a few years, what do you hope this era represents for Gurriers?
I think it just represents a massive leap forward, because I really feel as if that's what we've tried to create here. And I just hope, looking back, that this is that
the next album's a little bit more hopeful.
Yeah.
And the world too.
That everything will shift.
Everything will shift. Yeah. No. It's the same. It's the exact same thing. That hopefully it's the album that gives us the opportunity to be seen as a band that is, you know, well enough, good enough to play in big rooms and good enough to be in a lot more people's ears. And maybe my nanny one day will get it, but we'll see. We'll see.